folks. So instead of sharing my thoughts on Senile, Showdown, Savage, Psychotic Senility, I thought, let's do something a little different and talk about the critically maligned fan favorite, Senile, Showdown, Geriatric Genocide. So this one, it really got Jackie Joe Johnson and the media going. The gore was a bit over the top, and the series went from cartoon violence to just straight up horror movie, right? And while the addition of blood and bone breaking upped the ante, like, a lot, it provided like satisfying crunches and splatters after a perfectly executed combo. It wasn't what had the media in an uproar. It was the introduction of, quote, early retirement finishing moves. You leave your opponents dazed, right? And players who successfully input a, quote, special combo would then do like a brutal death scene. And it was Hellraiser, it was like they finally realized they just took enough time and stepped away from developing games, and they listened to what Jackie Joe Johnson was actually saying about their goofball franchise. And they leaned fully towards making the game he actually feared. Of course, fanfolk ate it up. Early retirement finishing became a staple of the franchise. The game also introduced boss fights at the end of the stage, and a boss would like block your exit. Some of these bosses including, get ready for it, Dr. Lobotomy, the Physician Freak, the Dementia Demon, and Governor Lockdown, and more. And the designs from these characters were wicked sweet, man. They brought sci-fi and fantasy elements into the series. So if you're like me and you missed out on buying the first series of SSSPS, could do that forever, definitely consider checking out the classic Senile Showdown classic, man. Geriatric Genocide, do it.
Sup, Status Post? It's me, the Shogun himself, KoryxKenshin. You already know I'm always getting down on the latest Fun Zone titles. Whether I'm breaking ankles, escaping the infected, and Here the Living Dead, or breaking freaking necks in the latest fighting games like Senile Showdown, Old Home Throwdown. Bars. I like to grub before a game, and when I'm extra hungry, that's when I know I gotta go with the delicious, scrumptious Happy's Humble Breakfast Buffet. I know, there's not many left around, but if you're close enough to one, and I'm talking like within 5 hours drive close, then you gotta go. All you can eat from a mouth-watering buffet, Petey's crispy bacon and pork sausage, Charlie's Country Fried Chicken, Happy's Breakfast T-Bone, so much more. It's like even the farmer's getting in on the action with the single scrambled eggs. In fact, I'm gonna head there now. It's breakfast all day. Let's get it.
That awkward moment where you don't know the song names from the band you're listening to. Like, you don't know the bassist's birthday or the guitarist's third favorite mistress's favorite color. Do you even, listen to this band? Do you even listen to this band? You better start. And you're in luck. We have exclusive CDs available. Check out our store playlist filled with all kinds of different metal. Elysian Talk Radio. Telling you the truth.
first location of dozens. Ronaldo's Musc-les became a franchise that spans across the entire country. Ronaldo himself went on to star in a bunch of TV shows, several movies, and did tons of voice acting. However, it wasn't all successes. With high highs come low lows. For every mountain, there needs to be, a valley. Tragedy struck. Ronaldo had a run-in with the infamous Butcher of Northbury Grove. You might have heard of him. The maniac killed a bunch of people at that hippie festival there. He had actually broken into one of his gyms in Spectre City, and he beat Ronaldo with a 65-pound dumbbell. This messed up Ronaldo bad. He was in a coma, and he almost didn't make it. But he persevered, and I'm here to talk to him today. Ronaldo, it's a pleasure to talk with you. Your story is inspiring. What was it like to see the slasher that night?
Hello, my friend. Yes, that night. It was very scary. And Ronaldo does not scare easily. Have won many fights boxing champions of Darius, undefeated for years. Have hunted two-headed elk in California. Taken down packs of Donovan hounds, but this was different. I was alone at my gym. No one else there. Just janitor in the back finishing shift. Ronaldo was getting in late-night workout. A big benefit of owning gym. Can work out whenever you want. Close the gym for an hour in the middle of the day if you need to pump or train for a competition. But something changed. The air changed. The city, it seemed to grow silent. The cars, people, they sounded thousands of miles away. It's like he brought a cloud of bad energy with him. We have survival instincts, yes. Things embedded deep that train us. Fight, survive, outlast the enemy. You feel something land on your head, you have a primal reaction. You got a bee on your hat, but what can instincts do against the supernatural?
Well, you're saying the Butcher was like a ghost or something?
My friend, this thing brought death with it. Ronaldo doesn't think it was human. Before Butcher Man had even made it into the gym, every hair on Ronaldo's body that hadn't been waxed away was standing straight up. Before a man even broke it, you could smell death. As if he was rotten, was sleeping on a mattress sewn together of corpses. He didn't even approach Ronaldo right away. I saw him staring at me through the window. So, Ronaldo stared back. But the Butcher Man disappeared. Ronaldo grabs phone and makes call, yes. With radio personalities, how do you say? Kevin Cassier.
Yeah, the Northbury Grove radio guys.
Yes, Northbury Grove radio. They thought Ronaldo was pranking. You see, Ronaldo called into the show about the Butcher. When the same Butcher had shown up, they thought Ronaldo was pranking them. So they did nothing. No help. No police. The demon struck Ronaldo over and over with the dumbbell. Great form. Incredible athlete. In another life, Ronaldo and Butcher Man might have spotted each other. Traded workout routines. Spotted on bench presses. Butcher Man would have made a great sports ball pitcher. Or violinist.
How did you survive?
Ronaldo got lucky. But janitor? Not so much. He had come in to clean and saw the Butcher with the dumbbell. And before he could even think it was over. By this time, Ronaldo was already unconscious and slipping into coma. Again, really incredible athlete. The Butcher was so fast for a large man. Such a large man. It still haunts me every night. That Ronaldo was bested. Ronaldo was beaten by this natural predator. This ultimate killing machine. If Ronaldo was stronger, could squat more weight, perhaps Hugo would still be alive. Live a longer life with these children. Ronaldo, weakness killed Hugo, not the Butcher Man. Janitor's name was Hugo. Hugo was a good friend. generous and kind master of custodial arts. He did not deserve this fate, though.
Sounds incredibly intense. What did you think when they made Northbury Grove the movie? Were you mad?
Ronaldo finds it in very poor taste, but Ronaldo still went to, how you say, premiered it. Ronaldo pushed no product, man. You see, after the death experience, Ronaldo lost all of his gains. Had to relearn how to walk and pump iron after awakening from the coma. All of Ronaldo's Musc-les locations shut down. Had to start from scratch. But Ronaldo's just as happy to be alive. Ronaldo thanks you for your time and wishes your audience gains, reps, and that they pump their Musc-les every day. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me today, Ronaldo. It's great to talk to you, and your story is truly inspiring.
That awkward moment where you don't know the song names from the band you're listening to. Like, you don't know the bassist's birthday or the guitarist's third favorite mistress's favorite color. Do you even, listen to this band? Do you even listen to this band? You better start. And you're in luck. We have exclusive CDs available. Check out our store playlist filled with all kinds of different metal. Set yourself at ease. Spritz your room with a few bursts of hidden meadow fragrance, and you'll feel as though you've entered a majestic field. Wind in your hair, sun on your face, and the most beautiful view on sight standing before you. Aromatherapy's been proven to alleviate stress and help with the management of anger and anxiety. It's like a brain massage. Essential oils from an actual, real-life hidden meadow are utilized in our top-secret formula, all designed to give your nostrils a delight and your soul the spiritual nourishment it yearns for. Hidden meadow fragrances. Put your mind at ease. Today.
As district rights are trampled by the world's Scythian government, where will you turn? Turn to the people themselves. Seacoast Road Public Radio.
Welcome to Seacoast Row Public Radio. Now, usually you might expect me to be looking into conspiracies such as the ecliptic prophecy or what happened on Durry Jongo. But today, I've got something different. I've got an interview with a celebrity that shall remain anonymous. If you had a television set as a child, you probably remember Farmyard Festivities or one of the other Happy's Humble cartoons, such as the dramatic anime Escape from the Barn, the wacky reboot Happy's Humble Hijinks, or the Super Barnyard Buds video games. Superfans might remember even more obscure stuff, like Farmyard Festivities on Ice. On Ice was a short-lived production. It was discontinued after troubles plagued the tour. There were rumors of a curse, abusive management, and a litany of other problems. The show was shut down permanently, never to return. Several cast members perished or disappeared under strange circumstances. I had a, quite frankly, strange interview with one of the remaining cast members. Their voice will be masked, their name withheld. We're not even going to tell you what character they played. Here's an interview with a former child star and former cast member of Farmyard Festivities on Ice. Enjoy. So I understand you were part of the cast on the very first run of Farmyard Festivities.
To be honest with you, I played It was kind of messed up. We had to put on the suits and it felt like they were breathing, closing in on you and then letting go. Like the suits had a mind of their own. The set was cursed. Some of the cast went missing, some of them even died in freak accidents. We weren't allowed to talk about any of it, but you said you cover up my voice, right?
Of course, we're gonna modulate your voice, and when
handlers are still out there watching me, you know.
The FOI handlers? Who were they?
Yeah, the people that ran everything behind the scene, that kept us on task, talent handlers. They made sure we showed up on time and ate the right food and took the right quick care capsules to maintain the perfect mental state to perform proper and land every spin. I mean, just controlling every aspect of what we do and where we go and who we talk to and what we can and can't say.
Sounds like skating in the falls weren't the hardest part of the job.
You can practice skating alone on your own time and get good at all the tricks and train your body to make the right moves, but to perform in front of a crowd with these really controlling production teams and talent handlers, on top of the hundreds of audience members, 3 generations of brand name fans, it was just out of control. The pressures of the road and life in the spotlight really got a lot of my co-stars coping in unhealthy and even dangerous ways, as if they were trying to clock out early, if you get what I mean.
Did the cast ever try to go on strike, form an acting union, go to the press, or anything like that?
I guess this is really my first time, since every time anyone else tried to come forward, the media want to air the story, and they wound up missing or dead. The original Happy actress tried to start a movement on Status Post and go public, but she went missing shortly after. Years later, they just found her femur bone stripped of flesh, bleached next to her cell phone. And the original PD was this older guy. He used to be famous back in the day, but his career was on the skids for a while. He thought his career and reputation would save him, but after he did an interview about harsh work conditions, it was scrubbed from the internet. He was fired, and less than a year later, he drove his car off a cliff. The original Gary got paralyzed from the waist down, and a few of the other cast members just vanished. After all this went down, they started bringing in international actors and actresses because all of the local talent started to hear all the rumors that the production was cursed and were too scared to even try out.
So not only is the production team abusive and threatening, but there also might have been a supernatural element at play. It's almost like you know my listeners.
Yeah, that was what had us all so spooked. We weren't sure if this was all a curse or if it was just abusive management, because the management were actually just as scared as we were. Strange things would go down on set, like stage lights crashing into a Zamboni mechanic and causing permanent brain damage. All of the actors and actresses started to have thoughts. Bad thoughts, violent thoughts, like the roles were shaping us into someone else. The original Charlie thought it was weird how in the series finale of the cartoon, all of the characters died, so he thought the director was ordering hits on the cast to get it as close to Farmyard Festivities as possible. We all thought he was crazy, but never got to tell him that because he opted out not too long after.
Was there anything enjoyable about production at all?
I mean, I grew up with the cartoons. I was a big fan of the brand, and I liked the job until the weird stuff started happening. A few shows in, I tried out for Charlie, the Chillin' Chicken, but I didn't mind playing Dimitri because it was less lines and the same pay. I'll be right back. I swear I'm hearing something at my porch. Hello? Who's there? Who are you? No, please. No!
Hello? Are you there? Ah, crap, what happened?
People say the ending to Escape from the Barn, where all the barnyard buds get butchered, scarred them for life. Meanwhile, I was watching beheading videos on Scythian Web at 10. used to take 30 minutes to download a 1-minute video. We are not the same.
Video Game Power Hour. The Loser Podcast.
Senile Showdown. Savage, psychotic senility that really brings the franchise to a whole new level. The 54-button combos are just out of this world. And it's great. They removed the block button. I mean, who really uses the block button anyway? The block button was replaced with a permanent uppercut button, and I cannot be happier about it. While some people think Hellraiser lost their touch, abandoning the more retro aesthetic from the arthritis days, you can't deny the graphics boost. And they've got to evolve at some point, right? These aren't arcades with curses written into the top score leaderboard anymore. They're Fun Zone 128 games. But beyond the graphics and combo mashing upgrades, there's a whole new layer of depth to the lore in the story mode. You get to choose from 4 characters, each of which has at least 4 hours of unique cutscenes. All 4 stories interact, so playing as all 4 is recommended. Regardless of who you choose as, you start in Elderopolis. It's a city blocked off from the rest of the world, and all the elderly are sent there. Like, the government turned a whole city into an old home. No one under 65 gets in, and no one over 65 gets out. Only authorized orderlies can move freely within this walled-off society. The player must liberate guard posts throughout the city, taking down each orderly chief running them. Each orderly chief has an intricate backstory as well, and a daily routine. This means each experience will be different. As you fight your way through the game, these orderly chiefs have AI that will also evolve and grow on its own with you. I'm not gonna spoil it anymore. Get out and play it today.
In a world where the elderly just want to retire on their own terms. In a nursing home where orderlies abuse the ones they are supposed to take care of. In a retirement community where nurses never clean out commodes. One senior citizen will stand for the rights of all the elderly. From Hellraiser games comes the first-person beat-em-up you never knew you wanted. Get ready to throw down with Senile Showdown! Stop bitching about arthritis and get into some arthritis! This game is so extreme, it'll knock out your dentures! Tired of kids on your damn lawn? Why not beat them into submission? They can't get onto your lawn in the first place if they don't have any legs to walk on. Remember to take your meds? Hell no! The only medication I need is the satisfaction of digitally beating the piss out of dozens of people. Don't let the wusses and naysayers like Jackie Joe Crybaby and his legion of self-righteous authoritarians turn you away. Grab Senile Showdown and beat down a whippersnapper today. This game was so intense, it was almost never released. It was then almost heavily censored. Doesn't that make you want to play it even more? Available now on the Fun Zone 64, Paragon OS, and District Thrill video game systems. Senile Showdown!
That awkward moment where you don't know the song names from the band you're listening to. Like, you don't know the bassist's birthday or the guitarist's third favorite mistress's favorite color. Do you even, listen to this band? Do you even listen to this band? You better start. And you're in luck. We have exclusive CDs always available. Check out our store playlist filled with all kinds of different metal.
Seacoast Road Public Radio. Giving a voice to the people. And a platform to broadcast.
Another day, another dozen reasons to move off the grid and never interact with anyone again. I mean, where to start with this generation of Scythians? An entire function on status posts just to report and dox each other? I thought that was what the block button was for. If someone bothers you, block them and move on. You probably should use the block function, since nowadays people can't agree to disagree like socially competent adults. They turn to R.A.T and go for the jugular, try to get each other fired. Oh, you voted differently. Well, your kids don't deserve to eat. I'm hitting the squeak button. I'll have your job. Yeah, what a healthy way to deal with opposing viewpoints. Why bother competing when you can just cancel the competition instead? At this point, we may as well start burning books to heat our houses. I don't get why we're rewarding people for becoming the very surveillance drones we used to be terrified of. What, when it's robots watching you, it's scary? When it's your neighbor watching you, it's progress? Then again, we're wiretapping ourselves now with these Paragon OS systems, and all for the sake of laziness. Wiretap, can you add blueberry muffins to my shopping list? These Paragon OS systems get installed in our homes, sync with all of our devices, sync with our Obscura biotech 3D printers, have access to our computers, our social media accounts, our banks. No one finds all of this creepy. What happens when your 3D printer goes rogue and starts fabricating reality you didn't ask for? Good luck dealing with the nightmares getting printed in your garage. That's just an artificial intelligence gaining sentience, hacking into your 3D printer and spawning your robot killer. And your surviving family members will have to foot the electric bill. But don't worry about that. You should be worried about spying on your neighbor, looking for something to squeak on them for. You know who doesn't get squeaked on? The world's Scythian government. Ever since they took control, the media's used nothing but kids' gloves. No one ever got held accountable for the nuclear meltdown on Durijango. Instead of legal action and a thorough investigation, they formed a world government out of it. They rewarded their own incompetence with complete control of Scythe. No one finds that insane. Nah, you're all too busy ratting on each other and taking videos of yourself lip-syncing instead of questioning what the people in control are doing. On that note, how's lip-syncing a trend now? You'll get yelled at for self-promotion if you share an original song, but if you lip-sync to someone else's song, you get an endorsement deal with Bump Cola. It's like anything that takes effort and skill makes the masses feel inadequate and angry. So they hype up the laziest, most dull people to feel better about themselves. These people think their life is a music video, but they don't even know how to make music. And for some reason, they get rewarded for it. You can't blame kids for becoming vapid narcissists when it's what society encourages. But the adults in their 20s and 30s falling for this, what's your excuse?
Oi there, you Ripper legends. Get yourself some Donovan Draft. It's bound to get you going, and it's cheap, so you can rip it up twice as hard for only half the price. If you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, there's no better way to start the party than with Donovan Draft. And get this, Donovan Draft even has new carb built into the side. Rip out the secondary tap at the bottom of the can, and it's an insta-shotgun. Oi, Greg, can I get me keg now? Oi there, you Ripper legends. Get yourself some Donovan Draft. It's bound to get you going, and it's cheap, so you can rip it up twice as hard for only half the price. If you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, there's no better way to start the party than with Donovan Draft. And get this, Donovan Draft even has new carb built into the side. Rip out the secondary tap at the bottom of the can, and it's an insta-shotgun. Oi, Greg, can I get me keg now?
Video
savage, psychotic senility that really brings the franchise to a whole new level. The 54-button combos are just out of this world. And it's great. They removed the block button. I mean, who really uses the block button anyway? The block button was replaced with a permanent uppercut button, and I cannot be happier about it. While some people think Hellraiser lost their touch, abandoning the more retro aesthetic from the arthritis days, you can't deny the graphics boost. And they've got to evolve at some point, right? These aren't arcades with curses written into the top score leaderboard anymore. They're Fun Zone 128 games. But beyond the graphics and combo mashing upgrades, there's a whole new layer of depth to the lore in the story mode. You get to choose from 4 characters, each of which has at least 4 hours of unique cutscenes. All 4 stories interact, so playing as all 4 is recommended. Regardless of who you choose as, you start in Elderopolis. It's a city blocked off from the rest of the world, and all the elderly are sent there. Like, the government turned a whole city into an old home. No one under 65 gets in, and no one over 65 gets out. Only authorized orderlies can move freely within this walled-off society. The player must liberate guard posts throughout the city, taking down each orderly chief running them. Each orderly chief has an intricate backstory as well, and a daily routine. This means each experience will be different. As you fight your way through the game, these orderly chiefs have AI that will also evolve and grow on its own with you. I'm not gonna spoil it anymore. Get out and play it today.
R.A.T. is proud to announce the introduction of their own digital currency, cheese slices. Cheese slices can be earned by consistent squeaking that leads to successful doxing and banishment of social media offenders. Any squeaker who manages to earn enough slices will even get the coveted Wheel of Cheese. This will enable them 0.0000015 of the ad revenue they generate. Wowee! R.A.T. Clean up your digital community and watch your world Zydian social credit score soar.
You're listening to the #1 rated true crime and unsolved mysteries program on all of Status Post. This is Dread the Unsolved. On tonight's episode, we're taking a deep dive on one of the most brutal killing sprees in history. A crazed lunatic dyeing the skull of a horned animal, running through the woods, bellowing much like a beast himself, and slaying any he came across. I'm talking, of course, about the Butcher of Northbury Grove. The killings began in the week leading up to Rock the Warehouse 4, a music festival held deep within Spectre Forest. Several bodies were found up and down Route 20, and the festival was postponed as a manhunt began. 4 unlucky friends had shown up early, unaware of the cancellation, and on one fateful night, their lives would either change forever or end tragically. Crystal Quint, a beautiful young woman in the prime of her life, was murdered in cold blood at the abandoned Alcanan factory. Her friend Connor DeLune found her corpse, barely escaping. Shortly after, Trevor Quint, unaware of the circumstances, is terrorized by the butcher at the King's Comfort Motel. Trevor also manages to escape, but in the chaos, a fire starts. It is through the smoke of this wildfire that Grace Bailey emerges, having escaped the killer's Mountain Ridge Orchards compound. Grace, Connor, and Trevor had survived, but the killer was nowhere to be found, and tragically, Crystal and several others were dead. The next year, renowned journalists Brock Kessler and Kevin Murphy hosted a show called The Northbury Grove Massacre 1 year later.
SBC is going to offer a sobering look back at one of the bloodiest days in Sabbath history. This is the Northbury Grove Massacre 1 year later.
As the show aired, strange calls began to come in. A few people claimed to have seen the killer. One person claimed to have survived a massacre. But the night took a more terrifying turn when the infamous Ronaldo Holsinger of Ronaldo's Musc-les fame was bludgeoned with a dumbbell on air.
Our first call of the night has come in. May I ask, who is speaking?
This will be Ronaldo's last words. He's outside. He's got so big. Don't want to die. I don't want to dream many dreams. He sounds like an animal. He's killed everyone. There is no gym left.
This guy can't be serious, right?
His eyes. Oh God, his eyes. Ronaldo's Musc-les are no more. Goodbye.
I think you're pranking us.
Ronaldo was put into a coma from this attack, but managed to survive and regain the ability to walk and move. The Butcher was back, and he seemed to be seeking vengeance. He murdered Trevor Quint and terrorized Grace Bailey at Northbury Grove Estates. Grace managed to trap the maniacal slasher in a transformer substation, shocking him with thousands of volts during a severe thunderstorm. Grace was taken into custody by the Northbury Grove Police Department. The body of the killer, however, never made it to the morgue. The vehicle transporting the corpse got into a mysterious accident en route, and the killer's body disappeared. In the decades since, we have learned the killer was likely responsible for the Mountain Ridge Orchards massacre.
After nearly 15 years of mystery, the Northbury Grove Police Department has finally let sealed police records of various key investigations go public. Things had settled down long enough for a bunch of truths to finally be revealed. The Mountain Ridge Orchards massacre was not a Waste Riders robbery gone wrong. It was actually committed by the very same butcher of Northbury Grove. This was proven when cross-analyzing DNA found at the Rock the Warehouse murders years later.
We also learned many of the victims of the Alkanin chemical spill may have actually been murdered by the same man.
Another revelation was more context to the Alkanin chemical spill. It was not an accidental spill. Someone had intentionally released the gases and poisons being manufactured. They wiped out the entire facility. This assertion was made after police noticed the corpses of security guards around the perimeter of the building had been bludgeoned to death minutes before the chemical spill. While it isn't explicitly stated, it is heavily implied that the person responsible for this was also the serial killer responsible for the Rock the Warehouse murders and the murder of the Gunther family and their staff at Mountain Ridge Orchards. This would mean that the same man terrorized this community across the span of 30 years, racking up a body count of dozens. Truly remarkable and horrifying.
Some theorized the chemical spill was what drove him to madness, while others still blame the Waste Riders biker gang. Some of the more outlandish theories say the butcher was possessed by demons. Whatever the case, the man was a deranged and dangerous serial killer, leaving dozens of bodies in his wake. Recently, a rash of murders has occurred in and around the outskirts of Spectre City. The sprawling metropolis is home to millions of people, and a good many of them are terrified at the idea that the butcher of Northbury Grove may be stalking the streets among them.
Qure has all the answers you need. stuff again. Qure, making healthcare fun, passive, and carefree.
Listen to me, folks. Everyone is so mortified when anyone speaks out against the world's Scythian government. But is that anything new? This is Freeman TV on Status Post. Listen, humanity. You've always shunned uncomfortable truths, but the social engineers, they're coming to get them. Hey!
Taking your healthcare into your own hands can be intimidating. It can be confusing. Why bother with all the messy details? Hit up your local Qure, pay your bills on time, and let our health technicians completely dictate your health. We offer patented hands-off healthcare to keep you productive, docile, and satiated. Let us do all the heavy lifting.
As district rights are trampled by the world's Scythian government, where will you turn? Turn to the people themselves. Seacoast Road Public Radio.
Welcome back to Seacoast Row Public Radio. Obscura Biotech has big plans for Scythe. They've got really big ambitions and the funding to make it happen. I've talked about their fabricating reality initiative before, and it has gotten no less scary in the past, 10 years since they started leaning into it heavily. At least 8 since I started mentioning it, trying to warn you all. You're telling me that no one else finds it weird that a world government formed right after a big nuclear meltdown. Nuclear meltdown that many eyewitnesses that have mysteriously died seem to think was an explosion that was intentionally set off. I guess it's just me, Kevin Murphy, Maverick Cooper, and a few dozen dead eyewitnesses that think something fishy's going on. What happened on Thurry Jongo? I don't know. Anyway, before there was Obscura Biotech, there was a production company called Obscura Programming, and of course, the more sinister Obscura Family Programming. Surprisingly, I was able to secure an interview with their director of broadcasting, Allister Bradley Collins. I am uploading the uncensored interview I conducted with Allister to my Status Post feed. Download and save this, alright? Because they're gonna scrub it. They didn't even want these to air. They actually came to my house and confiscated all the recordings. But you know me, I always have backups. I always have other things recording. They can't outwit Seacoast Row Public Radio's best, alright? Anyway, here's the interview. Enjoy. Good evening, Allister.
Hello there, brother. Thank you for having me. It's so interesting to be on such a low-budget program as this one. To go from a multi-trillion credit infrastructure that employs thousands of people to a soundstage with 2 men in their dusty old recording equipment. But no, I love it. I really love it. It's quaint. I bet we pay our janitor more in a year than you have made hosting this show in the last 10, no?
Thanks. So let's get right into this. The Obscura slogan has long been fabricating reality. But does that same slogan apply to Obscura programming? And if so, doesn't fabricating reality come across a bit dystopian?
Well, what is a TV network? Is it just a team putting together a block of programming to feed the imaginations of the board? For what is boredom but intellectual starvation? This is why we make sure all of our viewers are getting highly nutritious brain food for their programming to feed this intellectual starvation.
What do you mean by highly nutritious? You care to elaborate for me?
In television broadcasting, what are we doing? Are we just the magicians behind the scenes, flipping all of them switches and adjusting the programming? Is that it? Entertainment is just a means to steer the heart, to guide the public into making the just and moral choice. We tell them what the right choice is, and more often than not, they will make this choice. We feel it is our moral obligation to keep these unwashed masses satiated, entertained, and educated, as educated as they will allow. In the end, complacency is a much safer mindset for the majority to adopt than to constantly question everything around them. But there is a lot of power with such a big audience, no doubt about it. At any given time, billions will be tuned into one of our channels, and millions more will be streaming our content on status post. So, we elect to keep these millions complacent, distracted from the potential violence or strife they would no doubt cause, let's be honest here. Essentially, one of our primary goals is social control. I'd say it might even eclipse our desire for profit. It's social engineering, really, but a completely benevolent kind of social engineering. So, I ask you one more time, in television broadcasting, what are we doing, essentially? Again, are we mere magicians flipping switches, pressing play on that goofy commercial? Or are we actually managing the most successful social engineering operation of all time?
Seems Obscura's slogan is pretty accurate. In what ways does your programming go about this reality fabrication?
Well, I could think of quite a number of examples. Let's see. Ideally, our programs will contextualize history. If people begin questioning the reality we present, that could lead to ignorance, to violence. Imagine for 1 second how smart everyone would be if there was only one truth. And that is our goal, you see, to find the universal truth, to broadcast it, to educate the uneducated into adapting this truth as their own. So if you want to write that down, you can mark it down as strengthening societal morals or something, huh? No, but we've used this in many different facets. For example, we've used it to steer medicine. Say there is a new sickness. We can inform both the sick and the physicians on which treatments and vaccinations to receive or direct investments towards, respectively. Say there is a new cultural behavior we find disruptive. We can dehumanize the traits associated with that group or particular mindset. In effect, this alienates anyone who does not toe the line, so to speak. It forces people to smarten up, to think before they speak, to act more civilized. Civilized by our standards, of course, by the standards on which we assign to society. Not these barbaric traditions people desperately try to cling to. We've also used it to fortify elections, to normalize behavior, to shift cultural norms. There are people all over the world who do not comply with our core values, that stand against us on every single issue. We simply cannot allow them any media coverage nor any support. We do everything we can to make it an uphill battle for these people who won't fall in line. An uphill battle filled with landmines on their way up. Huh? But some of these people you will not believe, politicians especially, they are such idiots. It makes our job quite easy. They put their foot in their own mouth without even our help.
Just to be clear, idiotic politicians make what job really easy? And for the record, I think this is the first thing we've agreed on. Politicians definitely need to be reined in.
When a politician does not choose their words carefully, we simply don't have to edit much. Back when I was an intern at Sabbath Broadcasting, we would really have to manipulate those speeches in interviews. Lots of cutting and tweaking, you know. But some of the latest politicians, all you need to do is remove the next sentence. They speak like a comedian. They say the most outlandish things, and then they offer context after the fact. So, we remove the context, and all that is left is they were insane rambling. This may be an entertaining way of getting a point across in stand-up comedy, but it is not a smart one in politics, you see. All we have to do is remove one sentence, and the idiot does all the work for us. All the heavy lifting. We don't even need to use deepfakes. The programming, I should say. The programming writes itself. Of course, since the white Scythian government has been in place, there has been a total shift of this responsibility. Every politician is so rigorously vetted now before even being allowed to run. So we no longer have any need to steer the public's vote. However you vote, you are voting loyalty to the white Scythian state. That's it. Really, there are only a few key issues that the political parties really disagree on. And they are minor, unimportant ones, trivial, completely inconsequential. And this is how it should be. Voting was always a dangerous concept. Why would we let the masses decide the fate of the country, the nation, the government, the very word itself? Really, the masses, they are asking the wrong questions, or too many questions, without trying to find the answers themselves. They want to be led. They want to be spoon-fed, to be warm and comfy and blissfully ignorant to the mechanizations that keep the very society they damn Einstein running. That is why we tell them how they should vote, how to communicate, medicate, worship, eat, sleep, and so forth. We want to control every aspect of reality because we know we can make it better. And they love it. They love us for it, thus fabricating reality.
But if the reality is fabricated by you, aren't the people technically smart for asking questions? Essentially, they've caught on. And a magician doesn't murder people who figure out his tricks, does he?
We are not trying to punish anyone. That is not our job. Our job is to eradicate the mindsets that leads to punishments in the first place. And it has become 1,000 times more effective since we began to work lockstep with social media sites like Status Post to sniff out any dissent from the official story.
What do you make of social media and streaming networks? Does this new media have the potential to replace existing legacy media? And if so, are you worried about the future of Obscura programming?
No doubt social media is the future of entertainment and media consumption. But if you want more on this, you must chat with someone more focused on the topic. I'll get you one of the people from Behavior Tech Wing for your next interview if you'd like. But in the meantime, is there anything else for me in regards to television programming? I have 1 or 2 minutes before I must catch my plane.
Bearing in mind how you've fabricated reality for adults with Obscura programming, what does your family programming entail?
What a great question. Family programming is more about education than fabrication. While we do run many syndicated shows, we also acquire properties, such as the Farmyard Festivities reboot, Happy Humble Hijinks. We let the Venava twins have creative control for a few seasons, but later we exerted our authority and we made sure they started putting in the messages for the children. Maybe the lesson of the week would make them more susceptible to a certain political ideology down the line. Essentially train the kids to hold certain opinions we deem acceptable or behave a certain way so that we could potentially monetize their social media use. Does that make sense? But after Hijinks ended, we applied the same techniques to all of our other shows like Ren and Chimpy, the Julio and Dimitri Super Show, Inquisitive Jorge, Joko's antiquated existence, and many more. But what truly makes it effective are the kids themselves. Say, if a child is on the playground and hasn't seen the latest episode of Heidi of Senile, the rest of the children will bully the child into compliance, into internalizing the message of the show. We try to subliminally influence the kids to spread the morals they learn from the shows you see. One could call it a kind of virus, a thought virus, only in this case the virus is good. It's sort of like pasteurizing the zeitgeist, if you will, preemptively doing it before it comes of age. No, you must deal with the garden, you see. But I really must go. It has been a pleasure talking to an amateur again. It has been so long. It's as if I have gone through a time machine being on this trap program. You never know. Maybe someday you will get to be an intern at a proper network like Obscura Programming or maybe even Sabit Broadcasting Network. Can you imagine being able to get coffee for an actual professional and making a decent wage at that? Anyway, my friend, you take care.
Yo, do you even lift, bruh? It's time to hit the gym extra hard. Time to bring your pump to the next level. Time to set gains to maximum. We've got pre-workouts that'll leave you so energized, you'd swear you shotgun 8 jazzy jobbers. This stuff is so legit, the government wants to ban it. But after finding a legal loophole, we figured out how to use untested ingredients with undocumented side effects. Never mind all that. These supplements are the GOATs, and we take risks for our pumps. CNG. It's a state of mind.
Listen to me, folks. Everyone is so mortified when anyone speaks out against the world's Scythian government. But is that anything new? This is Freeman TV on Status Post. Listen, humanity, you've always shunned uncomfortable truths, but the social engineers, they're coming to get them. Hey. They're still...
Welcome to Qure. Please draw a number and be seated. Remain in a calm, orderly state until your number is called, at which point our health technicians will attend to your health needs. Thank you for choosing Qure to be your healthcare provider. Qure, serving the new Elysian city for almost 50 years.
Video Game Power Hour. The Loser Podcast.
Senile Showdown. Savage, psychotic senility that really brings the franchise to a whole new level. The 54-button combos are just out of this world. And it's great. They removed the block button. I mean, who really uses the block button anyway? The block button was replaced with a permanent uppercut button, and I cannot be happier about it. While some people think Hellraiser lost their touch, abandoning the more retro aesthetic from the Arthritis days, you can't deny the graphics boost. And they've got to evolve at some point, right? These aren't arcades with curses written into the top score leaderboard anymore. They're Fun Zone 128 games. But beyond the graphics and combo mashing upgrades, there's a whole new layer of depth to the lore in the story mode. You get to choose from 4 characters, each of which has at least 4 hours of unique cutscenes. All 4 stories interact, so playing as all 4 is recommended. Regardless of who you choose as, you start in Elderopolis. It's a city blocked off from the rest of the world, and all the elderly are sent there. Like, the government turned a whole city into an old home. No one under 65 gets in, and no one over 65 gets out. Only authorized orderlies can move freely within this walled-off society. The player must liberate guard posts throughout the city, taking down each orderly chief running them. Each orderly chief has an intricate backstory as well, and a daily routine. This means each experience will be different. As you fight your way through the game, these orderly chiefs have AI that will also evolve and grow on its own with you. I'm not gonna spoil it anymore, Get out and play it today.
You ever think the world is just gonna like end out of nowhere? Maybe a comet will come and wipe us out, or there'll be a mega volcano, and we'll all just bomb each other out. It could happen tonight. You better not be caught dead and played, dude. You gotta dress like every single day is your funeral. By buying our dark shirts with skulls, barbed wire, and thorns on them, they even come pre-torn.
Hello, my name is Rev Spin, and I am here to take you on a magical journey through the world of Beard ASMR.
Turn that dreaded commute to work.
The white zone is for immediate.
It will leisurely drive through audio paradise. Vision audio. For those of you listeners who are gamers, new news from New Elysian. New news from New Elysian has broken about the lawsuit against Hellraiser Studios. Jackie Joe Johnson Jr. claims playing Senile Showdown, savage psychotic senility, gave his father, Jackie Joe Johnson Sr., a heart attack, which ultimately resulted in his death. Jackie Joe Johnson Sr. Famously campaigned to have Senile Showdown arthritis banned.
For 19 years, I have lobbied and campaigned tirelessly against these horrific video games and the poisonous gamers who play them. And for 19 years, it's fallen on mostly deaf ears. Now, I plead with the world's Scythian government to hear my pleas. Allow me to air my grievances to you. Maybe then you'll be educated enough on these wretched entertainment systems and why they're corrupting young minds. Maybe then we can begin my proposed cure for this cultural filth, the Great Entertainment Purge. We'll start by banishing Senile Showdown games, then any other games with similarly violent and grotesque content. And then we can move on to movies, TV shows, stand-up comedians, podcasts, radio broadcasts, and so forth. We need to take cues from R.A.T. security, react, assess, turn to the authorities. And as the authority on what is moral and just, I am turning to you, as I believe it is your duty as the World Scythian Council to ban these games. Let us reshape culture for the future by erasing culture from the past.
But if it only caused the franchise to balloon in popularity, this started a rivalry that spanned over a decade. I remember those games. Those games are fun. Just beating the crap out of each other. I liked how the old people were the protagonists and you beat up the orderlies. You were the elderly beating up the orderlies. It's a good concept, but Jackie Joe Johnson did not like it. He had very passionate anti-gaming rants, anti-gamer rants, sparked worldwide conversations about violence in video games, and if that spilled into the real world. I don't think it did. In the research inspired by the conversations, eventually revealed video games actually help kids and adolescents with hand-eye coordination, problem-solving skills, social interaction, and more. The positives completely eclipsed any potential negatives. After years and years of passionate campaigning to get video games censored, even banned outright, research forced Jackie Joe Johnson Sr. to admit he was wrong. And in a very out-of-character move, Jackie Joe Johnson Sr. sought to bury the hatchet with Hellraiser Studios. He felt guilty for throwing so much slander at him. Jackie and the devs set up a status post live stream in which Jackie himself would play the games for the first time, but only after a friendly discussion about the results of the research and the history of their feud, because it dated for like 15 years, right? When was Senile Showdown? Arthritis. And that was a sequel. That wasn't even the first one. It's a legendary game series right there.
Oh, I am completely humiliated by my previously sanctimonious behavior in light of the new study. What was I even angry about? These video games apparently don't cause violence. They prevent it by giving a healthy outlet of anger and frustration in a fantasy setting. These electronic entertainment programs apparently increase the user's hand-eye coordination, problem-solving skills. I can't believe I wasted 20 years of my life trying to get these harmless computerized amusement procedurals taken off the shelves. For the first time, I watched more than 5 minutes of the Senile Showdown franchise, only to realize not only is it cartoon violence, but the orderlies are the ones who beat you up, not the elderly. If only I had spent a few minutes trying to understand the content I was trying to cancel, then maybe I wouldn't have foolishly deemed myself arbiter of cultural morality. This is why I have decided to bury the hatchet with Hellraiser Studios, and will be doing a live podcast with them. Yeah.
So, the conversation is flowing quite naturally, and the world is shocked to see that Jackie Joe Johnson and Hellraiser, these once bitter rivals, not only discussing the point of debate amicably, but actually getting along. Jackie, with a completely new perspective, then sat to play the first Senile Showdown title in the franchise. But tragedy struck when Jackie completed his first stage. In his excitement and sheer glee, he suffered a heart attack. An autopsy later revealed Jackie Joe Johnson's sudden change in behavior and personality was actually due to undiagnosed dementia. Jackie Joe Johnson Jr. was outraged and vowed vengeance on the Hellraiser devs, not for the content of their games, but for murdering his father.
All of my life, I've said, Dad, those devs aren't bad people. Hellraiser is just making a goofy game. I mean, it's so cartoony. Why even be angry about it? And then he'd say to me, Son, everything is political. This video game is a bird call for radicalized anarchist, neo-fascist, totalitarian individualists opposed to the world's Scythian government. I still don't agree with him about the game being radicalized anarchist, neo-fascist, totalitarian individualist apologist media, or that it caused violence. The game is fine. But I now consider Hellraiser games bad people. They willingly let an elderly man play their latest game, and it killed him. Sure, he was there on his own volition, literally burying the hatchet with this team, and sure, they never even said a bad word about him, despite decades of him trying to get them canceled, fired, doxxed, and ostracized from society. But I don't care about their humility. I care about their savagery. The rivalry my father and Hellraiser had may have died, but they now have a blood feud with me to worry about. I can't believe I used to sneak out to the arcades as a kid to play Senile Showdown, Antique Road Row, and with stolen quarters from my dad. I helped fund my own father's murder supporting these cretins with money stolen from...
These Jackie Joes are a bunch of wacky bros, if you follow me. Why are you trying to blame the actions of individuals on video games? Does no one have any, personal faculty anymore? Is holding people accountable now problematic? We gotta blame the art they misinterpreted for the stuff they choose to do afterwards? Seems like a really, slippery descent to book-burning bonfires and the complete destruction of culture. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should be censored. Did I ever think about that? No, I didn't. Not until, just now. But really, if anything, wouldn't acting out violence in video games prevent it from spilling into the real world? Wouldn't it be a healthy outlet for anger in a digital setting, rather than inspire it in a physical setting? I think the only victims of video games that inspire violence are controllers flung into walls. I think Kevin Murphy said that too, right? Something like that. He's right though. Oh my god, I got a death threat in a video game. Well, yeah, you're playing a war game. The objective is to kill each other in the game. You might be reading into comments from gamers tasked with killing you in-game too literally. Get a non-violent video game. Senile Showdown is just a wild franchise. I grew up with it. Open world Senile Showdown. That's what should happen. You know, you travel from one place to another, maybe. I don't know, maybe one day. Unless Hellraiser gets canceled from Jackie Joe Johnson Jr.'s lawsuit.
R.A.T. continues to change the social engineering game with our latest innovation, red traps. Some pesky ruffian on social media saying something that goes against mainstream consensus? Has someone dared to speak out of line, to think for themselves? Has some rogue questioned the world's psyche and government or its policies? Well, it's time to set a rat trap and put them in their place. R.A.T's new rat traps are based upon algorithms that targets people who think wrong socially, spiritually, or politically. Posts that question the narrative will now have fact-check triangles pop up when clicked on. This infographic triangle will rightfully warn everyone the opinion they're about to read is wrong. R.A.T. bringing the sewer that is the internet back to the surface. That awkward moment where you don't know the song names from the band you're listening to. Like, you don't know the bassist's birthday or the guitarist's third favorite mistress's favorite color. Do you even, listen to this band? Do you even listen to this band? You better start. And you're in luck. We have exclusive CDs available. Check out our store playlist filled with all kinds of different metal.
No music, no gimmicks. Just soul simulation. New Elysian Talk Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to New Elysian Talk Radio. It's me, the radio DJ. You may also recognize me from my ASMR death metal band, ASM Carnage. Today I am conducting a little interview. This is talk radio after all, since we dropped the songs and such. No more music. Trying to capitalize on talk radio as it dies. Right, its podcasts and status post live streams take over. Let's focus all our efforts on talk radio. That makes sense. Real smart decision from the bigwigs and the fat cats here at New Elysian Radio. Elysian, whatever. Oh well. Today I will talk to a fellow rocker, a fellow musician. He's had a few projects, like lead guitarist in Bloodlust Storm. Talking about Tony Stitches. How are you doing, Tony?
Doing good. Say, what's your name again, mate?
I don't remember. DJ?
Right. I'm feeling pretty weak at the moment, to be honest, DJ. Might have to ruffle through my bag of Qure pharmaceuticals and pop some calm-me-down capsules. Stave off these shakes. Had a jazzy Java this morning. It's given me a touch of anxiety and a leaky bum.
So most people are well aware about your melodic riffage and soaring leads in Bloodlust Storm, of course. Most don't know about your time in the black metal band Sacrificial Blade. What was that like?
The music was alright. The blast beats and the buzzsaw riffs and heavy, chunky, low-tune guitars and all that, yeah. But the band members, them guys was great musicians, but just cold-blooded, literally and figuratively speaking. These blokes wanted every album cover to be printed with our blood mixed in the ink. Wanted ritualistic chants backmasked into the music, called the ideal fan base a death cult. Just all this weird demon worship, black magic nonsense. They thought it made the music heavier, but I thought it was a load of tacky bollocks. When they started kidnapping neighbouring pets in hopes of performing a mass ritualistic sacrifice for a music video, I had to bail. Knocked out the singer Chester, that guy with a chainsaw, Chaz the Conqueror, whatever he calls himself. I moved to Stalker shortly after to find some other partiers to make a proper rock band with.
You happened to get to Seacoast Row right before hair metal peaked in popularity. What was it like playing the Stalker strip at the height of glam metal?
It was absolutely wild. The girls loved us, the guys wanted to be us, an endless line of fans to party and drink and carry on with. We didn't even have to pay for anything. We were sponsored by Donovan Draft. Oh, we was raking it in. But we were none the wiser. Our manager, the Rev, kept us in the dark about how much money we were making. So we lugged our own gear, we drove our own tour bus, we grabbed crushing shards so we wouldn't fall asleep behind the wheel, playing half a dozen shows every week. It was mental. Barely slept on those first few tours, even when I wasn't driving the bus or gear van myself.
That sounds pretty wild. What was the biggest mishap you've encountered on stage?
One of the later Rock the Forest festivals, one of the last ones before they went electronica with it, you know, and brought in all the DJs and candy raver kids. Well, they tried making it some weird yoga festival there. Rock the Warehouse, Elevate, they called it. I was with FOTE, brand new band while Bloodlust was on hiatus. We called it the Freedom of Thought Experience. Now, we had no music written. We were just picking a key of music and improvising. Just winging the whole thing, yeah? So we mixed some spores and leech before the set and ate it during the last song. Wanted to be clear-headed to improvise and celebrate after. Right as we were wrapping up, the sound guy grabs me and whispers, "The next band is stuck on Route 20 in a broken-down van. Can you guys play a second set?" We wound up improvising an entire second set of music. Some hippie bloke in the audience recorded it. It's like an entirely different band was playing the two sets. Guy who took over that year to make it the yoga theme later joined enacting Diplomacy United. Full-on nutter now. Absolutely insane.
What is your favorite Bloodlust Storm album? Favorite Bloodlust Storm song?
Well, I'm really partial to our third album, The Misfits of Seacoast Row. It was a concept album about a band of orphans who form a metal band to escape poverty and get screwed over by their record label. But we wrote it about ourselves, really. Our manager had made off with 99% of the profits from our first two albums and our first live record. Wanker called himself Reverend Don Jeffrey. A few years after, he made off with all our loot. He was found dead in Zaspani Valley. Fancy that. We came to his country and made it big. He went to our country and died in an alley.
What kind of gear are you rocking nowadays? Still sticking with Alfeda guitars?
I still work with Alfeda guitars. In fact, they've even made me my own model. Signature Series Stitches LX. It's got 7 strings and the neck of a baritone. Absolutely wicked tone on this bloody thing. I've got the same pedals I've always rocked. The neighbourhood Formula Fuzz for the less heavy stuff, and the Crimson Steel Overdrive for the heavy metal. Sometimes I'll get wild effects with the tainted cider multi-effects rig gear.
What was the craziest band you ever toured with?
Well, other than Sacrificial Blade, probably when we had Winged Scorpion opening for us. Bunch of young chaps from a smaller country in southern Hispania. Great lot, but absolutely mad. Never seen anyone drink, smoke or fight as much as them. Their fans were the worst though, nutcases. One year, we was watching them play a late night cabin set and every band was coming on late. I'm talking hours late. The Winged Scorpion fans were drinking more and more of the free Donovan Draft and they were getting belligerent. Every band would come on, play a song, and the second they stopped, the crowd is yelling, "Where is Winged Scorpion? What is Beluga?" They just released this album, Beluga, glam metal piece with sitars. never ended up playing. They got lost on the way to the festival, had gone the wrong side of the Spectre Forest. The fans were so angry they burned down the cabin. 4 people died, and a few more got hospitalised. It was a mess. Meanwhile, the band is 10,000 miles away, completely lost.
It's about all the time we have, Tony. Anything you want to plug before you leave?
We've got a brand new live album dropping, live from the hometown. And we've got a new studio album about to drop, Blood Type Barbed. Thanks so much for having me on the show.